let's go ahead and get started so that we can use our time efficiently. Well, this is something I don't get to do all that often, but I'm excited to get to do it today. I get to moderate, or I get to introduce someone who is obviously near and dear to me, my husband, Dr. Rudye King. Just to give you some background on him, because now I can definitely say I know him personally. I know what he's all about. He was born in the Virgin Islands. His father in particular was an entrepreneur, taught him a lot of skills about being an entrepreneur. But he was also very academically inclined. And so, like myself, did the whole college medical school thing, went out, started our careers in medicine, and did very well in that. He is a well-respected OBGYN, has different practices that he helps to open up in different hospitals, well-respected. But about 12 years ago, he knew, coming from his background with his father being an entrepreneur, that business ownership was extremely important. He wanted to help other people start businesses, and he wanted to help mentor them. He's always had a mentorship in his heart. Mentorship is basically in his heart. So he has, for the last 12 years, helped physicians, small business owners, people start their business, and also help their business to stay compliant and to have access to legal services. So I have this thing, as business owners and entrepreneurs, we can do everything ourselves. The problem with that, it's not scalable, and we can focus so much time on things that don't really produce us income. You need to launch your business, but maybe spending a whole bunch of time with those particular types of details may not be to your best and be in your best interest. So with that, Rudye is going to share his screen. He's going to share with you some information on how to make it simple, easy, seamless, and very affordable.
Well, thank you all so much for joining me on this starting my business session. And I want to put a shout out to my better half, definitely. And, she's the wind beneath my wings. So thank you for all your support. But really, I want to congratulate you guys for being here. But before I go any further, let me stop and acknowledge Charmaine Reeves. Hasn't she done a phenomenal job putting this whole business, entrepreneurship together? It is absolutely amazing. The speakers are absolutely spectacular. I've gotten a lot of great nuggets and training tools from many of them. And I just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, Kelly and I, Charmaine, thank you, thank you, thank you. So with no further ado, I'm going to just go ahead and jump right into the information. And the topic again is starting your business. And again, congratulations, you've made it here. You had a decision to make, and you could have been anywhere else, but you're here today to join the conversation about starting and or expanding your business. And, a lot of people have thoughts, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but it doesn't really translate into actionable items. It's just kind of resonated in their heads and doesn't move to an action producing, income producing activity. So I want to say congratulations again for being here. And before we go any further, I want you to go ahead and grab your telephones and open up your text feature, because you'll see why at the end, this is going to be an important step. And I want you to go ahead and text to the number 470-253-4378. Again, 470-253-4378. And I want you to just jot down the word info in the subject line, and then your name and email. Okay. You can also take a screenshot of this as well, because I'll be moving on in a moment. But 470-253-4378, subject line info, second line name and email. All right. And again, later on, we'll talk about why that's going to be important. Next, when people talk about opening up a business, It's probably because they're very passionate about a particular thing. And they do that particular thing really, really, really well. And they want to, basically translate it into a marketable product or marketable service, translate it into income. And how do you go from your passion to income, right? And we're really, really good about our passion. It's to our heart, it's to our core. But then when there are a lot of other things that we may not be so good at, like incorporation, do we have the right licenses? Are we in compliance? How do I hire? How do I fire? How do I navigate collections? All those particular things that we may not be expert on. And guess what? You don't have to be. You don't have to be experts on every segment of your business. You can actually, and this is the profound thing, you can have other people who are really, really good at those things in their lane, and you can focus on what you do best, right? So first, you have your passion, and then you put into place some goals. Okay, so stop for a second, whatever you're doing, and I want you to close your eyes and envision for a few seconds, right? Envision what you're identifying, if you haven't already, what your passion is. What is it that you want to bring to the marketplace, and what is it that you want to market? And then think about, the business that you would like to develop. Think about, once developed, how you're going to get that information to the community, to the state, to the nation, to the world. Think about expansion and how you're going to do that. Think about where you want this business to go, for how many, for how long, for legacy. Think about passing it to your children's grandchildren's children, right? That's the kind of things that we want to think about and envision. I mean, let's name out a few, like Ford, GM, Westinghouse. Those are all household names, and they're long gone, but their businesses live on, right? And think about how we want to give back to the community, because it's the community that carries us. It's a community that's the tide that rises the ships, right? How are we going to give back to the community? Because I think, what you put out, you get back, right? And then, how do you see it affecting your life and other people's lives, right? All right. So now that we have that vision, let's go to work in terms of setting some goals, which is the next thing. You want to make a list of what are your goals in the first day, the first week, the first month, the first year, the first 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and beyond. And I think that when you set these benchmarks for yourself and you see that you begin to hit them, it breeds confidence, right? And then it promotes a more expanded vision. And it just, one after the next. Now, it's not to say that there are times that you will fall short. But if you think about it, when you aim for the stars and you get to the moon, you're still a long way from where you started, right? So you just have to, review, tweak, and keep moving forward. I think it was Mr. Brown in his earlier session this morning who talked about failing forward. You have a vision, you go to work, and mistakes are going to happen, but it doesn't mean that you're done and washed up. It just means you got to figure out how to do it better, to tweak and keep moving forward. So you have that vision, and once you have that vision, you got to promise to yourself and to everyone, that you never let anyone knock you off of your passion and your vision. Your goals can change, but your passion is the beginning, and it's punctuated by your vision, which is even more long lasting. The goals and how you get there, the dots that you connect, may change. We may have to change because of the economy. We may have to change because of the pandemic. We may have to change because of personal and family reasons, but the vision and the passion remains the same. Let's move on. Okay. So in starting your business, a lot of people try to ask, well, what should I do? Or what kind of entity? Should it be an LLC? Should it be an S Corp? Should it be a C Corp? Well, I'm just going to give a really high level compare contrast of what each of them entail. Getting between the S Corp and the C Corp and the minutiae, it's a little bit too much into the weeds, and I'll be happy to connect with any of you to talk about that in more detail. And at the end, there's a Calendly link that you're welcome to schedule a one-on-one with me, and I'll be happy to mentor you through that, because that's just my heart and my passion. All right. So let's talk about an LLC. All right. So you do have to create a formation, the filing of articles of incorporation and organization. There are definitely rules that and operating agreements, you have to abide by, particularly for tax purposes. And there are some very particular rules that you have to know about. There's also, how do you manage it? Do you have one member, two members, and so forth? And are meetings required? You will see in the other entity, the corporation, meetings are required. This is one of the most simplest forms. Now, the major difference between the two is how many employees. What is the projected income? Is it thousands? Is it millions? And if it's millions, how many? And so forth. So let's keep going. When you talk about, single owner, multiple owner, now let's flip over to a corporation. You will see that in the formation, it does have where you have the, publication of notices of articles of incorporation. You also have to have bylaws, and very important, you have to keep minutes and you have to have meetings. Those are absolutely required. Or else they will say, this is really not following the rules and regulations, and your tax, and this is where it really hurts the most, your tax status or shelter doesn't meet the requirements for a corporation. So we're going to tax you at a higher level, right? You don't want that to happen, right? Because that creates your spread as well, in terms of, you're going to have multiple owners, single owners, and so forth. So again, there are some major differences between corporations and an LLC. And one is the ease of use, ease of development, and ease of operation. And that's the LLC. If you have a more complex structure, you have to have meetings, keeps minutes, and so forth, have to have a board of directors, then you're getting to a more complex situation with an S Corp and a C Corp. Now, there are certain industries where an S or a C Corp lends itself in terms of better taxation and organization. Again, that's a little bit more complex than to get into on this session. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Now, let's talk about 101 reasons. We're not going to go through all 100, but we're going to go through a few that makes why business owners should try to do this the right way. If you take the time to do it the right way, then you have a lot of confidence about what you're doing and how you're doing it, right? So, you may be faced in signing contracts or business or commercial lease agreements, or even renewing for those of you who are already started. And the contracts, they always say, the bold giveth and the small print take it away, right? And so when I ask people, well, have your contract been reviewed by an attorney? Oh, yes. The attorney for the organization where I'm leasing it at, yes, they did. And it's to their benefit. Who's looking out for you? right? I talk medicalese because I'm a physician, and I talk or understand businessese, right? But what about you? You may not understand the jargon that's put into these contracts to realize, that this may not be in your interest, right? And no disrespect to attorneys, right? But there are things that are put into contracts that is an operating agreement that says, I will do or I will not do, they will do, they will not do. And we have to get clarification about those things, because that's where, when the rubber hits the road, that's the things that really keep us up at night. Okay. It may be that you need assistance with a collection of debt from a customer. And how do I navigate that? Is there a clean way to do that? Now, the big difference, I'm going to talk about Launch, which is a program that we provide a little bit later, and I'll go into that a little bit more in depth. But what about in this pandemic? It has really changed the way we do business, face to face. Now, the majority of business is done through virtual. And with a lot of employees staying at home virtually engaging, what does that mean for cybersecurity of your business? What does that mean for hackers? Since more people are on virtual platforms, you're exposed. Do you have appropriate protections in the lines that you use through the internet, password safety, and so on? What about how you compensate your employees in the pandemic? Should I do a 1099 since they're working from home, or is it in my benefit to do a W-2? Those are really important questions, and it could mean lots of dollars and cents when you do your taxes, when you do your business taxes. So, being able to have someone, an attorney who can flush that out for you, it takes the guesswork, no guessing, no stressing. You have the clarity in terms of what's needed and what's to your best interest, right? What about, I want to take the proper legal steps in hiring or disciplining or even letting go an employee. Where do I go to find that information? It's not just calling them in and saying you're fired. It's not, what are my rights as an employer disciplining an employee? And because there are definitely rules and regulations that have to be followed, or else you may find yourself, having to pay someone continually on your bankroll in terms of if they were improperly let go. So you don't want to be in that situation. That's definitely a cash suck. What happens if if you need that passion, that product, that service that you have created? You want to protect that, in terms of, do you need a patent or copyright or a trademark, and again, this is something that you're really, really good at. How do you protect, your intellectual property? And there are ways to do that, and at an affordable rate. What if, my landlord raised my rent or entered my property, which is contrary to our verbal agreement? How do I navigate things like that? Or I may need to create or review an employee handbook. When you create a business, a lot of the things that they look for when they sometimes see if your business is in compliance with the federal rules and regulations is first thing they look for is your employee handbook. And if you don't have a handbook, then, game over. What about creditors threatening to take action against me for my ex-partner's debts? Is that even legal? Who do I ask, right? And, so when they talk about individuals having the ability to be able to ask someone to gain the knowledge of what are the do's and don'ts and the things that I can or cannot do legally, where do I go? and how much is it going to cost me, right? So let's talk about launch, as I mentioned before. Okay, what if the thing that you're passionate about, you can hone your skills, figure out how to package, market, and so forth. But who's going to do the paperwork? What if there was an easy system where you answer a few questions and figure out what taxation or entity would be in your best interest? And what about, making sure that that name's good with the Secretary of State? What about filing those things? When you're doing that for the first time, it looks like it's such a huge, insurmountable feat. But what if you can give all of that to someone else to take care, to do the heavy lifting on those, and those things, and you focus on what you're really good about? Okay. So here's how. Okay. There are 4 steps. Okay. When you use Launch by Legal Shield, first, you're going to talk to an attorney and tell them about your business, and they're going to answer 8 quick questions. And I'll tell you, my wife was used this just recently, and she was just completely blown away. Now, we've been members for over 12 years, but still, they give so much value add and service that she was, again, still blown away 12 years later that she went asked to open up an entity, and they, before even talking to her, found out whether or not it was trademark, whether or not it was copyright, whether or not it was, all these things. And so by the time she sat down and talked or had the conversation with them, they were able to say, okay, this is what you need, this is where you need to go, and this is what we can do for you. And it was like a turnkey operation. Last week, I opened up 2 LLCs, and it was the same thing. I answered those 8 questions. First they try to figure out, was an LLC in my best interest, or an S corp or C corp. We settled on one. We kept it moving, and now I actually have in my email box my articles of incorporation, my license, all the things that I need to know that my businesses were started appropriately and have the appropriate license with that. Okay. They also, when you call and ask to talk with the attorney, they have 4 hours to get back with you, right? As you can see in the slide right here. Again, what I just said, they see what your business is all about and try to figure out what's best for you. What about documents, the leases that you are, if you're leasing a building space or an office space, they review your documents. They make sure that what's in it is to your best interests, and so forth. And as far as doing your filing and so forth, they take care of all of that. And fourth, they you can run your business with, again, confidence and knowing that all the papers and necessary things are done. Now, when you form your business through Launch, this is what you're going to get: consultation. And here is the most amazing thing. Right now, we have gone from I don't know what you call it, pre-millennial. We've gone from a non-virtual to a virtual. We've gone from where we used to use telephone books to find lawyers or to find businesses or to find Uber. We've gone to basically having a remote for our life. We want to do a transfer in the bank. We go on our telephone and we tap an app, do a transfer. We want to order pizza. We go on an app. We want to get transportation. We go on an app called Uber or Lyft. It has made it simple, easy, and more affordable through the economy of scales, right? And so this is no different. We have an app on our telephone that we can tap the app, get in touch with an attorney. They have to give us a call back within 4 business hours. I've used attorneys before in the past, not that I'm a criminal or a bad person, but I had questions that needed to be answered. And it'll be days to weeks before they get back to me. particularly after they, I put a retainer down, then they know, hey, I got your money. You have to wait for me to call you back. And I have lots of attorneys in my family, and so I get it. But the fact of the matter is, we have a consultation where it is a part of your membership, so to speak. They do your business formation and documents and filing, and they provide you with an optional kit with a seal for your business that you can emboss your paperwork and so forth. In terms of legal business consultation, people try to look everything up on Google, and it's a great start. But as you know, anyone can put anything on the internet. I want to know what is actually accurate, what is correct for the time and place and state where I'm in. If I'm in Georgia, uh, the law that I'm looking up may not apply in Kentucky or Florida or wherever, but you have an attorney that is assigned to your business in the state that you're in. Well, what if your business is cross country or cross state lines? You actually have an attorney firm in every state of the United States that they will refer you to again in that's covered in your membership, and you can call and ask questions, and they'll transfer you to that attorney in that particular state and get the right, most accurate answer for the up-to-date law. And that's powerful, right? In medicine, I've had offered contracts by various instruments companies in different states, and I've had the pleasure of having them review my contract. When the company was in New Jersey, I lived in Nevada at that time. They hooked me up with a New Jersey company, and they went through the contract, and I'll tell you, I had a peace of mind when I signed that contract. So moving on, we talked about business formation, document review, letters, and telephone calls. Let's just say that you have someone who is saying, your business infringed mine. You have your attorney call them up, and if they will write a letter on your behalf or make a telephone call, whichever they feel is just at that time. And it's, again, included in your membership. We talked about trademarks, copyrights, and patent. We talked about debt collection. Now let's talk about debt collection just a little bit more. When you use the debt collection services, they take a certain huge chunk of their collections, right? And you get the remainder. Well, the beautiful thing about this is that they will write debt collection letters for you. And depending on the level of membership, will determine how many per month. And you get 100% of what you collect. So that's a huge cost savings, all right? And anything that is not covered under this membership, they give you a 25% discount. Now, I don't know about you, but I love discounts. See, I go to Costco, I get the big ketchup because I get the 25% discount. So it may be a family issue that's not covered under your business plan. But we also have a family plan, and we'll talk to you more about that at another time. Here's the app that we talked about. We make things easier, simpler, and more affordable. I've used attorneys in the past, and I know what attorneys cost per hour. And you can either pay that per hour or pay that for a year's membership. We talked about cyber attacks. Right now, 88% of small business owners feel that that they're vulnerable for cyber attacks and so forth. So how do you protect your business? We do have a plan that helps business owners protect their businesses through identity theft protection for businesses. Social media, they do have a reputation monitor as well. And again, the reason that I had you send your info to at the beginning, if you have not, take an opportunity to text me to this number, 470-253-4378. And text the word info with your name and email. And if you, again, this is a very high level, presentation of what is in launch. There are more, a lot more under the hood. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can also set up a time on Calendly with me to talk more about that. And really, the free gift is our free app. You can actually ask questions, and they on our chat feature, and they text you back in like less than 3 seconds for the answer that's vetted for the state that you live in. And we have attorneys in all areas of the law. So with that, I'm going to thank you for your attention. I hope I've added some value to you, and I hope that I've raised some questions that you can think about in terms of passion, goal setting, vision, incorporation, and again, how to have someone else do the heavy lifting while you hone in on what your passion is, so that you can get jump started in your business and off to making the business of your dreams. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. King. That was great information from start to finish. One of the things that I took away was this, right? Most business owners are passionate about what they do, but they may not be as skilled with the legal parts of what they do, right? And you can spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure it out yourself, getting your attention diverted away from your passion, your goal, and the things that's going to produce your income. Or you can use an outsourcer service like Todd had mentioned in the chat, right? So this is a great way to do that. Also, if you are not asking questions about your business, I hate to say this, but you're in trouble. You should have a zillion questions about how to best run your business. But you don't want to, again, spend a zillion hours trying to get answers to those questions, right? So that is where a service like this comes in. I want to thank everybody for their time, most especially Dr. King for his time. But thank you all for getting on. Please reach out to him. He's a wealth of information. He's an amazing mentor for small business owners. And we are looking forward to connecting with you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.